everybody, thanks for joining. I'm here with Tony Cerce of ProsperON, CEO and founder. So we want to talk about kind of finance and education, how that all fits in, which is why I called Tony. So his startup focuses on getting financial education into schools and then in beyond, as you'll see kind of as we go through this conversation here. So Tony, thanks for joining. I appreciate it. Tell me a little bit about how you get going with it and kind of the base product that you came up with as kind of the first go around.
Sure. Yeah, happy to be here. Thank you for having me, Tim. So I'm the co-founder, CEO of ProsperON, and yeah, like you said, we teach financial education to college students. Kind of how we got there was a stream of different products. We did a whole lot of creating MVPs, beta tests, and kind of getting user feedback and iterating on that a bunch of times. And that kind of led us to a bunch of different conclusions, the main one being that the biggest issue in financial education is the lack of education into action. So we kind of looked at everything on the table and said, how do we solve that problem? And for us, it really meant creating a simulated environment focused on financial decision making. And not like, there's a bunch of financial simulations that already exist. We needed to do this one right by kind of taking the information, layering it around financial decisions so that they understand not just how to make the decisions, but also what decision they want to make, what product they want to get, why they want to do it. The why is really important. So that's how we built our technology, was to understand, why are people making financial decisions, but not just that, how do those financial decisions compound over time and also layer on top of themselves? So that's the product that we're bringing to colleges and universities today. We created a business model that's really based on going through first-year seminars, orientations, internal web portals, things where we could get to as many students as possible. But instead of trying to work through the universities and work through their budget cycles, what we do is actually work with local banks that have student checking accounts as sponsors for this material. And the key here is we're able to align incentives around the banks who want to get exposure to students who need bank accounts that have value. So that's where the student bank account is really important. And then the schools who have this audience that are desperate for a solid financial education, and they have a way to get it to them and then talk about how they have that. So that's what we do today. It's a lot of fun, as you can imagine. And again, thank you for having me here.
Yeah, no, and I think it's something that education, no one gets actual financial education as part of their education, right?
Yep.
It's kind of something that's supplemented, or I guess people assume that as they go through life, they pick it up, but really probably not the right way to do it. Is that how you kind of came up with this idea of, how did you initially kind of think of ProsperON?
Yeah, it's a great question, and honestly, it goes back like way beyond just tinkering with technology. It kind of comes down to me as an individual, and also my co-founders as individuals, and the way that we were brought up. And we all came from, again, like middle income households, people that really didn't have it all, and our families were able to kind of budget well and plan correctly and protect themselves in a way where they were able to get what they wanted without having to stretch every single dollar, and they were humble about it. And we realized this can be the case for everybody. You don't need everything in the world, but you can be humble about what you do have and achieve things that you do want. So that was kind of the foundation that created this idea of, hey, more people can have this. It's just math, right? It's just kind of figuring out what I want and how to get there. So that was kind of a foundational step. And then the other thing was just a whole bunch of stories from people that we talked to, customers, students, younger individuals, older individuals. One of the biggest pieces of feedback we get when we tell people what we do is, oh man, I wish I had that when I was in school. We get that all the time. And I think that was our biggest tell, that this is something that people need, and it's not just the students who need it, it's the students when they're older need it as well. And that's kind of the lesson that we learned is the people that are telling us that they wish they had it are not the people that we're serving, but we're beating them to it. We're being proactive, not reactive, and that's, I think, the key to everything here.
Yeah, I think I was one of those people when you first told me what you were doing. I wish I had that, because by the time you realize how important it is, you're beyond, and you already have debt, and you already have certain things that you wish you did differently. And there was a new upgrade, right, to the simulation. So you guys kind of rolled out that initial one, and then very recently came up with an upgrade. What was kind of involved in that?
Yeah, so we're still working on it. So this is a little bit still in the works. But the idea that we realized is we have this really cool stretched out simulation. So we kind of introduce these concepts step by step, module by module, if you will. And we realized that process is just too long for people. And we'll talk about this a little bit later. But financial education has changed, and the landscape of how people absorb information has changed. changed, so our product kind of needs to change with it. So one of the things we're doing is we're taking our very stretched out simulation and we're shrinking it all back down to one single platform, or one single dashboard, I should say, and making it more of an interactive drag and drop experience with financial decisions where you can kind of create a framework for yourself in a fun and engaging way and understand the actual math and accuracy behind those decisions. That's independent of the content, so what we're going to do with the content is set that up as individual pillars and more or less distribute that to these focus, we call them focus groups, special interest groups, whatever you want to call it, but pretty much kind of narrowing in on that content for the group that needs it and trying to bring them back to this much wider environment where they can really kind of get more and more value from it.
And that doesn't have to be just college-age students, right? That could be kind of those people that said, I wish I had that. They probably could use a little bit more education even where they are now, so that could be extended to them as well.
Yep, absolutely. And that's kind of the cool thing about this too, is as we expand with this this model and kind of new content pillars, we can continue just introducing more and more content as we go and getting more and more specific to each person that's using it. So that's kind of our key, one of our key differentiators is a personalization. What I mean by that is, say you're going into, I'll say the military, right? That's a very different time period than if you're going off to become a lawyer. So that's the thing that the simulation is going to allow us to do, is to cater to each individual storyline. Who are you as an individual? What are the decisions that you're going to be making that are unique to you? And being able to not just provide the math behind that, but the content as well. So one of the big things we're excited about is rolling out exactly that. Military, so like Army, Navy, all that stuff. Also trade school, so everybody that's going into the trades, they really need this stuff, and they, again, super malleable to what we're trying to do. And the other one is NIL stuff, so looking at athletes, not just college athletes, but professional athletes as well. How can we apply the same solution to those areas? So when you said, it's a little bit more than just college students, it's going to be hopefully for everybody, that really has an interest and a passion to figure this stuff out.
That NIL stuff is interesting because you have very young people coming into a lot of money that who knows if they, they're one injury away from maybe not having a continuation of that money coming in. So how do you maximize that? Start off life with a solid base. That's something that we really never had to deal with until the last couple of years, 2 years.
Well, it's funny you say that too, because NIL is this new problem that all of us are trying to figure out how to deal with, because you have these 18, 19-year-old kids that are getting all of this money thrown at them all at once, and it's something that never happened before. So it's how do you not just retain that value, but also use that as an advantage to get yourself even further. So it's that's one of our big challenges, is how to kind of control that beast, because again, that's a huge problem. I'm sure we've talked about it a little bit, but the concept of the rookie contract, you got to spend your rookie contract. No, you don't. You just don't. Right. And that's what we're going to try to kind of, through our system, be able to tell that story of this is what happens if you do spend your rookie contract. This is what happens if you don't. And this, hopefully, be able to show people through the visualization that, hey, there's value here.
Right. So. And then for people that don't come into a bunch of money with being Division I athletes, I think, is there a kind of a way to learn about certain accounts or certain things like that as you go through the simulation? So if I put 10% into my 401k instead of 7, what does that look like in 10 years? That type of thing? Yeah, absolutely. So it's very much based on projections, and I'm actually happy you brought up products as well. Because one of the things that we do differently with our product, we call it like a product marketplace, but our products is, a lot of people like NerdWallet and other competitors like that will have just a literal marketplace. So you scroll through all these different cards, they have ratings, you kind of figure out what's good, what's bad, pros and cons. We're trying to kind of reverse that, right? And identify, what do you need out of a card? What do you need out of an account? Who are you as an individual? So take all of the other context around you and say, okay, what cards are actually, your accounts are actually good for you? And then put that in front of you as, here are the options to choose from, instead of just what the market says. So that's a big differentiator as well, because that, again, just further drives down the value that we're trying to put in every single step. It's not just the planning and the execution, but it's executing through the products they use as well. Right, so. And learning about them so that it's not just what you know about one specific thing, but overall how you want to do things, what you need, what can get you there.
Exactly.
And did you kind of come up with this shift in from kind of the long form to this more bite size? Is that because that's how people consume almost everything now? I'm sure people watching this video will probably only watch a clip or something like that. Very few might watch the whole thing. Is that going into your decision making, or how did that factor in?
Absolutely. So one of the things we recognized very early on was very quickly financial education, number one contributor was social media. So social media was king for educating people on not just financial education, but a whole bunch of other stuff. And for a while we were trying to fight that. We were saying, oh, there's so much misinformation. There's no way to like verify. There's like, that's a dangerous game to play. So we were trying to build a solution that would combat that. And what we realized kind of recently is, we're never going to win that battle. We're never going to say, social media is bad, we're good. So what we're now doing is looking at it, how do we get more involved in that and embrace the key things that are making that successful? It's the bite-sized content, it's the playlists of episode on episode but in 1 minute increments that you can just scroll through. It's that kind of stuff that you can still deliver value, but you got to keep it in what they're familiar with. So that's one of the reasons we're making the content individual as opposed to being all tied together through the whole experience. Is we're keeping it short form for that very reason of here's quick and short value that you can provide or you can get, and then our ideas from that point we can now bring them into the rest of our system, the rest of the value that we can provide through the the simulation. So
interesting. Yeah. And I think kind of switching gears a little bit, you talk about the pivot in your product and what you guys have seen. Have you kind of as a founder, as your experience has changed, have you pivoted kind of your style, what you want to do? How has that changed throughout the past 2-3 years?
Yeah, oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's funny, every time I feel like you bring on more people, your style has to change completely. You know what I mean? It's different people that now are in charge of, or people that you've been working with a while that now have to be in charge of other people. So you lose control step over step, sure. Which is tough when it's your baby, but you gotta trust your team. So that's where hiring becomes really important. Who you bring onto the team, who's going to provide value where, and where can you kind of balance it well.
Yeah,
so,
and it's interesting that we always say that your own network can be the first maybe 4 or 5 hires, and then once you lose control, you grow a little bit. You can't afford to have a bad hire because you got to ramp people up, and you're still a startup, but at the same time, you're not in your network, you're not in that comfort zone anymore. So it's a challenge for sure.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And it's also hard finding talent because there's a lot of startups out there that are doing very, very cool things. Right. So it's like, all right, you're competing against them, but you're also competing against the very cushy, very large salary, with the good employee benefits jobs as well. So finding that person and to bring on, no matter what their role, is a challenge in and of itself. And then making sure they're the right person is even harder. But for some reason, we've gotten really lucky. We've been able to find a lot of great people, just through not just our networks, but actually the Mass FinTech Hub, which is, not to get into the Boston ecosystem too much, but they do career fairs. And, when we were looking for tech talent really early on, we went to a career fair. And it was really funny because we were surrounded by all these different major companies that had, the tablecloths and the pens and the water bottles and all that. And me and my co-founder had a single, plastic thing with a flyer in it and a bunch of business cards laid out on the bare table. And we were just straight up with everybody. We're like, hey, we're a startup. Like, we need technical help building this solution. Straight at that point, can't pay you. Like, do you want to come join the team? And we ended up getting 83 resumes from that experience. We ended up also talking for about 4.5 hours straight and lost our voices, both of us. That's besides the point. But yeah, it was great. So we got 83 resumes from that, ended up interviewing 16 people and hired 6 from it. Wow. It was, so we got lucky with that type of engagement, but yeah, it's just getting yourself in those opportunities.
And you had mentioned too that kind of goes along with everything, the experience versus, we talked about this earlier, experience versus energy and people that are willing to get in and not too jaded by 25 years of experience maybe. So those people that you met at a career fair that are willing to work for no pay at first because they believe in the product and they believe in their own abilities and your abilities, versus somebody that has experience that's gone for funding, that's had all these like little challenges in business. So weighing that, and you guys just had a big hire on your kind of board. What goes into that, experience versus energy, I guess? Yeah, absolutely. Because what I just described is energy. That's finding people that are hungry, that are coming fresh from college, that have this desire to really make a difference in the world. That's very different than those that have already gone through years and years and years of that experience. And like you said, some of them are jaded, but some of them still have that energy to them. Right. So like that's kind of the first thing I'd say about kind of hiring an older person is you still need to look for the energy. To set context, we did just hire a chief growth officer. So he's going to be helping us all out on sales, marketing, and then also we are going for fundraising. So he's going to be kind of joining us hand in hand for that effort as well, to again fund that project that we were just talking about. Sure. But yeah, so he's again an older gentleman and has been able to provide a bunch of value for kind of the
the way that we understand ourselves as a company, because Aiden and I, my co-founder, are very, very young. Again, we're younger people. We started this when we were in college experiencing this problem ourselves. But he's seen so many things. He's seen so many businesses. He understands the landscape in a different perspective than we do.
Right.
And I can't tell you how much that's changed the way that we think of ourselves, the way we think about what we can accomplish, the revenue streams that we can just get straight to instead of the way that Aiden and I were thinking about it. All so much strategy to get there. There doesn't have to be that much strategy. We just got to go and do it. And he's given us that kind of kick in the butt to just understand that.
Yeah.
So that's been really cool.
Just being a startup founder and all that comes with that. What would you tell yourself if you right now could talk to yourself starting the journey, what would be kind of the major lessons that you would bestow upon yourself?
No, there's a couple. There's definitely a few. I think the biggest one that I can kind of identify right off the bat is just wishing I had a little bit more sense of confidence when I was younger to just get things done. We spent a lot of time on strategizing and kind of getting the product right and talking to customers before we even built it. Then we'd eventually get it out there and get the same type of feedback that we got before we built it and have to kind of change that around. And I think if we were just more confident with what we knew was going to be right and just executed on that, we would have got a lot further a lot quicker, which is what we're doing now. So it's not so much saying, hey, this is the future, these are the things that we need to get there. It's, how do we get to the future as quick as we can? Sure. And that's something that we focus on a lot now. But again, as a younger founder, you don't really think about. You think about, how do I play this game to like kind of maneuver, not networking and leveraging this technology and talking to these people. You kind of realize like you just got to play. You just got to play the game.
So it almost doesn't matter what you do first because you're going to have to tweak it. So you might as well just put something out there and go with your gut.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Is you make the best game plan in the world. You go out there to execute it, and then the other team does something that you're not expecting. Now you got to change the plan anyway. So you might as well just gone in and just tried the best to do what you need to do to accomplish what you wanted to. So, that wasn't the best answer. Sorry.
No, that's good. I think that's because a lot of people, I think if you don't have the confidence to do something, you tend to delay. And that's anything. Your first time doing anything, you tend to delay it as long as you have to. Yeah. And then once you actually do it, you're like, it wasn't that bad. Or I should have done that 3 weeks ago, and then I could have. So I could definitely see how being a first-time founder, younger, right out of school, that stuff would get delayed. I mean, it seems like that makes a lot of sense, and you don't have the confidence to just plow through.
Yep.
Just keep going.
Yep.
Anything else that you would tell somebody that is saying, I'm a first-time founder, this is my first month, is there anything else that you would say to them?
Patience. Gotta be patient. Patience is the biggest thing, especially in your first month, right? When you're first getting started, nothing is going to go exactly how you wanted it to, and nothing that you do today is going to be what's going to be the thing that's there in a year from now. So it's just building and understanding the process is there, and you do have to follow it. And then the more persistent you are, the longer you stay committed to it, the more results you'll see. And another thing to understand is there was a lot more bad days than good days as a founder. So one of the best pieces of advice I got as a young founder was to celebrate the small things. Yeah. It's so important, especially as an early stage founder, to celebrate the small things because they only come ever so often, and there's a lot of bad in between. So you do have to recognize growth, and you also have to recognize that you're learning every single day. That is the biggest piece of advice. Actually, I'm gonna revert everything else I said. The biggest piece of advice, the biggest thing I would have told myself when I was younger, is that you need to remember that you are learning every single day. You're adapting every single day, and that's so so important. It's just so important as a founder to be able to adapt and to understand kind of, it is a new set of challenges every day. The world is adapting around you. So you just got to be on your toes, not worry about things too much.
And when you're adapting too, and this always kind of interests me, we did an interview with Rahul at Kaleidoscope. I don't know if you met him before, but he was talking about pivoting and all that stuff, and we did a lot of talk about that. Is there something that you always go by, okay, as long as we don't leave these principles behind, we can pivot? Like, is there a sense of pivoting and then abandoning the original idea and doing something new? That kind of, how much pivoting is just abandoning? Do you ever kind of play with that?
Oh, absolutely. It's a tough game to play. One rule of thumb that I like to hold on to whenever we're thinking about anything that's remotely close to a pivot is we cannot change our mission. So our mission as a company is to eliminate financial stress and anxiety for young adults. Very deep mission. A lot of ways to achieve that mission. It doesn't have to be exactly how we're doing it today. as long as we get there eventually. So
Right.
when we talk about our pivots, trying something here, doing something there, it's all with this idea of how is all of these things, all of these functions, these features going to eliminate financial stress? Again, that can look like anything. So I think when you
Right.
think about pivots, it's, are we still true to our mission? Yes, okay, this is okay.
Right.
If not, you're a new company. You're starting from actual ground zero.
Right.
Which is,
Exactly.
a big thing. That's a problem.
So you kind of plant that flag, and as long as it's pulling you in that direction, okay, we could do it, but let's not lose sight of that flag. Let's not, abandon that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's got to be the one thing you stay true to, is that mission. The vision is, that's what can change. Your vision of how you get there can change. It has to change. It will change, honestly. You're going to get feedback. You're going to get pushed in certain directions. New technologies are going to come available that you can execute on,
Right.
stuff like that. So the vision will change. That has to be flexible, but the mission can't be.
And is there a difference too between, okay, a new vertical and a pivot? Like, we're going to abandon this, or no, we're going to keep this, and that'll still be there, and we can still go back to that, but now we're going to start a new vertical, as opposed to changing something as it goes, that's no longer available, we don't do that anymore. Is that a kind of touch and go as well?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think every founder, that process is a little bit different. Like for us, again, like our mission is to eliminate financial stress and anxiety. But when I introduce ProsperON, I say we teach financial education to college students,
Right.
because today, that's what we do. We teach financial education to college students. We haven't been able to encompass all of the things that we want to truly hit that mission. So when we talk about new verticals and pivoting a technology to get within that vertical, that's just all part of the process for us.
Right.
That's just saying, okay, well, we're present here, we're building here, and now we're just going to build over here too.
Right.
So it's not necessarily a pivot as much of a, hey, we're just moving forward in this way, so that we can kind of expand like that. If
Right.
that makes sense.
And I love the way you guys did it, because when you talk about financial stress, the earlier you catch it,
Yeah.
If you're not in credit card debt, if you don't have these giant student loans, if you're contributing to your 401k, all these things that you do when you're 22, when you're 62, it's a big difference. So I think the way you guys did it just makes so much sense that you're really kind of nipping it in the bud and getting in there. So
Yeah.
that's great. Is there anything that you want to get out there that I didn't ask about? Is there anything that you say, you know what, I'd really like to touch on this?
Not that comes to mind. One of the things I was just thinking about when looking at our competition, and just what you were just talking about like how do you nip in the butt? How do you prevent people from getting into debt? One of the craziest things that we came to realize is that all of our competitors are advertising themselves as a reactive solution. So if you look at like a Rocket Money, hey, you have too many subscriptions. Come to us and we'll help you get rid of those subscriptions. Right. Same thing with like a Credit Karma. Hey, you have bad credit card debt. Let's get you out of that. There's really not many people in the space that are saying, hey, let's be proactive about this. Let's get on top of this before all these bad things happen. Right. And I thought that was super interesting. Why is everybody trying to be reactive and nobody's trying to be proactive? Like, I still haven't figured that out, to be honest.
And I think that's a problem probably in multiple facets right now.
Oh, yeah.
Finance is like, okay, everyone's talking about losing weight, no one's talking about not gaining it, right? So it's just that thing of, if you never get yourself into trouble, you don't have to deal with the problem. Yeah. And I think you guys tackle that head on at a point where people really need it. College, people are incurring huge amounts of debts in college. I mean, we talk about it every day. But it's not just college. It's then they want to buy a house, and then they want to have kids, and that all happens in 10 years or so. Where all that stuff kind of comes together. So I think the way you guys do it just makes so much sense. And I think like we started off saying, I wished I had it. And that's the big thing. But it looks like as long as you guys are around, there'll be tools to help make sure that I don't make mistakes in the next 10 years. So I appreciate it. So Tony Cerce, ProsperON, I appreciate you being here. Thanks for watching, and stick around next week. We'll have someone else.
Thank you. Appreciate it.